So really, really beautiful, beautiful heart crystal. And you'll read in crystal books about how rhodochrosite is a soulmate crystal. I work with rhodochrosite a lot in my crystal healing practice and teach about it a lot in my program because it's a really, really, really powerful heart healing crystal. And not just for the heart, but also the solar plexus chakra, which is something that maybe some of you aren't familiar with, that power center that's in the center of our belly, that is, really influential when it comes to our tripods falling all over the place. Really influential when it comes to our sense of identity, how we relate to the world, how we thrive and achieve and succeed in the world, how we present ourselves in the world. So much of that is affected by the solar plexus chakra. And when we experience trauma in our childhoods, even if it's not what we may technically define now as trauma, but as children, to us, it was trauma. When we experience trauma, when we experience episodes of shaming or rejection or, anything that can affect our sense of identity, our place in the world, our place in our families, our feelings about ourselves, that will affect obviously our psyche. That will affect how the energy flows through our solar plexus chakra, and it will affect a lot of choices we make for ourselves in our lives. And one of the really powerful things about rhodochrosite is rhodochrosite helps us to work through, process. It gives us the energy we need and the intuitive, divine healing guidance we need to start working through a lot of our childhood trauma. Now, obviously, I'm not saying that wearing this crystal, all your problems are going to go away. Everything is a process. Working with crystals and crystal energy is a process, and that's, certainly something to understand. But just as we do all of this to help us ultimately heal, the energy from crystals also contributes to that process and supports us in that process. So anyway, getting into the channeling, as I said, this is a really powerful crystal, not just for helping us to heal trauma and to help us work through our baggage and honor our process. It's also a crystal that once we've done a certain measure of that work and we've started to clear through a certain measure of that work, we're able to access more of our heart and our soul-based passion, which then opens up the door to attracting in soul-based, passionate love. And this is one of the ways that rhodochrosite works. So anyway, I'm going to close my eyes and just take a couple deep settling breaths. And if any of you have a piece of rhodochrosite and you'd like to hold it and tune in with the channeling while I do this, of course, please join me. I can feel some of you joining me. And so immediately, as I tune into the energy, what I'm feeling is I'm feeling it, I feel the energy coming up through my receptive hand and going right through to my heart chakra. I'm definitely feeling it go down into the solar plexus and actually right down through the sacral into the root. And I'm certainly feeling kind of that energy activation, that healing chi flowing to these lower chakra areas. And of course, lower doesn't mean less powerful, doesn't mean anything of the such, but it's really interesting to bear in mind, as I had been talking about rhodochrosite helping us to heal childhood trauma, our first chakra to develop is our root, right when we're little teeny tiny babies, and then then the sacral, then the solar plexus, then the heart. So as we're growing up as children, these chakras are starting to become really active and developed. And so of course anything that we experience during our childhood is of course going to affect the development of those chakras, as well as the development of our own sense of selves, our emotional selves, our psyches, and so on. So immediately feeling, oh, I'm starting to get chills. I'm immediately feeling the rhodochrosite starting to go down into these areas, sending healing energy down into these areas. And I'm also really feeling, I'm really feeling, I guess it's solar plexus primarily, but then also some sacral chakra in terms of, fiery energy, firing up the energy. So especially for those of you who feel like you're lacking in passion in your lives, a lot of times we'll go reaching for, let's say, fire opal or carnelian, but the message and the information I'm getting from the energy of rhodochrosite here is that you can also work with rhodochrosite to help connect with more of your sense of passion, which isn't necessarily sensuality. It can be passion for life, passion for work, passion for yourself, passion for your purpose, whatever it might be. Sometimes, we lose connection to our sense of passion because we're simply in the wrong situation. Sometimes it's an energy balance thing. I use energy balance kind of very generally, but sometimes it's an energy thing where there's healing that needs to be done so we can connect with more of that energy within ourselves. And I'm definitely feeling that healing impulse and that energy for rhodochrosite. And as I'm tuning in with this energy, and again, I'm feeling a lot of healing energy activate in my dominant hand as well. As I'm tuning in with that energy, I'm feeling more connected with myself. I'm feeling more connected with my emotional feelings. I'm feeling more connected with joy, actually, which is really beautiful. Like joy, excitement, play, re-engaging with the good things in my day, the good things in my life. And I have so much to be grateful for already. But I'm just feeling this energy kind of really, really, really build and sort of envelop me. And it's a really wonderful feeling. And to be completely honest, I spoke of how I work with rhodochrosite in my healing work and what I teach in my programs, but I don't usually associate rhodochrosite as a crystal that helps to bring joy. And there's the purity to this joy. There's like a childhood innocence to this joy. And for those of you who feel like you've lost that and you want to reclaim that, this is a deeply healing crystal. And one of the messages that's coming through is, yes, it helps us do this work. Yes, it helps us to connect with this stuff. But there's very much that key thing about honoring the process and the timing. Some crystals, they just bring it all up, real powerful, real quick, and it can be overwhelming, it can be scary, it can be too much, it can really throw you out of whack. This is not one of those crystals. This is one of those crystals that gently, deeply brings us down into more of our work. And it really, really works on the subconscious. All those subconscious beliefs, all those things that are still in our memory banks, but we may not consciously remember or consciously think about. It goes right into those areas and starts bringing healing energy and awareness to those areas. So things that we need to address, things that we need to work through, slowly start coming to our consciousness. But this is so anchored in the heart. This crystal is so anchored in the heart. And if ever you wanted to find a crystal that really would help you live in a healthy way from the heart, in a heart-centered way, especially for those of us, and I put myself in that camp, who've had a lot of emotional healing to do in this lifetime, this is such a beautiful crystal to wear. It's one that you can wear every day. I'm seeing it as a pendant over the heart. It's one you can wear every day without feeling like, oh my God, I'm going to be emotional. I'm going to be, all in my memories and my psyche and revisiting my trauma and all that stuff. This isn't like being in a 24-hour therapy session. This is about slowly, gradually doing the work on yourself that you need in order to reclaim your fire. And I'm seeing this beautiful, inner flame that becomes active, that becomes stronger, that helps us to feel empowered, that helps us to feel energized, that helps us to feel joyful, that helps us to feel passionate. And again, there's this word of purity and purity in terms of a frequency, purity in terms of an experience. There's no agenda. There's no ego-based stuff in this. There's no kind of judgment or anything either. It's just this really pure place of, this is what it feels like to feel awesome inside of myself. And I love that message. I think that's so beautiful. So that's where I'm going to wrap up today. Once again, crying, how unusual. But that's where I'm going to wrap up with the channeling today. So that is the beauty and magic and majesty of rhodochrosite.